Good morning and welcome to the regular session of council. It is August the 8th, 2023, 9 a.m. and I will call this meeting to order. First order of business is the adoption of the minutes.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting held on July 25th, 2023 be adopted.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Latham will move and Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. I would remind members of disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Which brings us to the committee of the whole.
Be it resolved that we do now move into the committee of the whole council.
Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Deputy Warden Jones and Councillor Hentz, all in favor? That's carried. Brings us to reports of council, outside boards and staff. 6.1, the warden's activity report for July of 2023. The report is attached for your interest. If there are any questions, is that a question?
Through you, Mr. Warden. You did attend Rodney on Canada Day.
Did we not have that listed? No, we did not. Well, thank you for that.
And thank you for coming.
Well, I appreciated it and thanks for the invitation to be there. So with that addition amended. Okay. Is there any other questions or comments that anyone has? If not, with the amended report, then could I have a mover and seconder to accept? Councillor Noble and Councillor Widner, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 6.2, the acting manager of planning, Township of Malahide official plan amendment number 22, part of lot 21, concession 3, south, part 1 of registered plan 11R-10194, geographic township of Malahide 50896, Vienna line. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Warden. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Very good. So before council this morning, we have an amendment to the Township of Malahide official plan. The amendment is a rather small amendment to change the land use designation on a parcel of land that is currently the subject of a severance application. The original parcel of land holds a former township fire station that has been adaptively reused as an engineering office. The engineering office has been quite successful, is looking to expand their operation. This required them to sever off part of an adjacent lot and add it to the existing lot. And this official plan amendment will facilitate that severance and the expansion of this engineering business. The application has proceeded through the standard application process. We've reviewed it in light of county, provincial, and township policies and are satisfied that the application meets all policy requirements. And before you this morning is a recommendation for approval. And as always, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you for that report, Paul. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Seeing none. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the county of Elgin approve official plan amendment number 22 to the official plan of the township of Malahide, file number MAOPA 2-23, and that staff be directed to provide notice of this decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Giguère will move. Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6.3, the acting manager of planning, municipality of Bayham official plan amendment number 33, part of lots 10 and 11, concession 2, municipality of Bayham, 55106, Vienna line. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. This application is to provide an exemption from a policy that's contained in the BAM official plan. Council may be familiar with surplus farm dwelling severances, which permits a farmer who has consolidated farm properties to sever off surplus dwellings that are not needed for the purposes of the farming operation. In the municipality of BAM's official plan, there's a caveat that says that when considering surplus farm dwelling severances, the farming operation must be based in BAM. In this particular case, the farmer who has applied for this severance is actually located in Malahide Township. That's the base of their operation. So this official plan amendment is an exemption to the municipality of BAM's caveat that requires the farmer to be based within BAM. We've reviewed this application in light of provincial and county policy as well as municipal policy. There is no equivalent caveat in either provincial or county policy, so we certainly consider this to be a local matter for BAM. And as such, we are recommending an approval this morning before council. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you for that report, Paul. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? A mere technicality.
Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the county of Elgin approve official plan amendment number 33 to the official plan of the municipality of Bayham, and that staff be directed to provide notice of this decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Noble will move. Councillor Hentz will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on with 6.4, Director of Legal Services, addendum to population, housing, and employment forecasts and associated land need analysis. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Warden, and good morning, Council. So the report that is before you is to just add on some work to work that was already performed by Hempson Consulting for the official plan review. So when that work was completed, the Amazon plant was known about, but the large industrial development related to Volkswagen was not yet known. And so as a result, when we're doing our official plan review and before it's actually passed, we think it's important to have the growth forecast, which is essentially what the study is, reflect the significant likelihood for growth that's included with that project. So there's an additional cost of $18,000 over what the original contract with Hempson was. But staff recommends doing that work so that the official plan is fully informed of those growth forecasts. And it has to come back to you at the council level because that contract is already complete. So it's an add-on to an existing contract, but because the work is done, it's back before you, despite it being an amount that typically doesn't come before you at 18,000. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's the report.
Thank you for that, Nick. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Yes, Councillor Jiguer.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Not so much on the contract, but on the official plan itself. Will that cause it to be reopened then for like the public notice and comments? Because I think it's in, like, comments were closed, I think, mid-May. But we have not approved it yet, correct?
So through you, Mr. Warden, it's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it until we get this report back. So it depends on what types of changes need to be put into the official plan as a result of this. So if there are significant land designation changes in the various local municipalities, I think it's possible that then you would seek further public comment. If they're minor, then I don't think it would go back out, although it's still in the review process as far as technical commenting agencies and ministries. So I'm sure once we have the updated Henson material, Mr. Hicks will provide a report about that and some recommendations in that regard.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the report titled Addendum to Population, Housing and Employment Forecasts and Associated Land Needs Analysis dated August 1st, 2023 from the Director of Legal Services be received and filed, and that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Elgin approve an expenditure of $18,000 plus taxes and disbursements for Hempson Consulting Limited to provide an addendum to its final report dated November 23rd, 2022, titled Population, Housing and Employment Forecasts and Associated Land Needs Analysis as a single source proposal, the addendum, and that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Elgin authorize the Warden and Chief Administrative Officer to execute any agreement or amending agreement necessary to give effect to the addendum.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Jiguer will move. Deputy Warden Jones will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 6.5, Manager of Corporate Facilities, Progress Update, Administrative Building, Accessibility Elevator Addition. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. Through you, Mr. Warden, to the members of council, the progress report before you outlines the status of the basement accessible washrooms and the elevator addition. Basement accessible washrooms are currently open to the public and the stucco is being applied to the towers. And it's almost completed. The project has experienced delays due to weather, not being able to dig, labor union disputes, and additional brick removal. Because these delays were included in the Canadian Construction Document Committee, CCDC, they're deemed to be outside the contractor's control. The general contractor, Elgin Construction, has provided an updated schedule and the county's architect consultant, L360, has approved it. The north elevator and basement kitchen is scheduled to be complete for November 1st, with the full project being complete for May 2024. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ryan, for that report. Does anyone have any questions? I'll admit I haven't been downstairs lately to see what's going on. I might take a trip today. But it's good to see that progress is still ongoing and that we might be a little behind schedule, but that we will get this facelift completed. Seeing no questions, Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the report titled Progress Update Administration Building Accessibility Elevator Addition dated July 24th, 2023 from the Manager of Corporate Facilities be received and filed.
Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Hens will move. Councillor Latham will second. All in favor? That's carried. 6.6, General Counsel, County Roads Maintenance Agreement, 2023. Good morning, Steve.
According through you to council, the report before you presents council with the format for the new county road maintenance agreement to be effective somewhat retroactively to January 1st, 2023 for approval and authorization or execution of customized agreements with each of the local municipal partners based upon that format. The report itself is quite detailed, provides information as to the background and history of the county road maintenance agreement, and otherwise provides a summary of the principal elements of the agreement format, including a detailed comparison with the text and scope of services of the most recent prior agreement, as well as commentary on financial impact and alignment with strategic priorities. I'm not going to review the report or the draft agreement in detail. I would highlight the following, however. The format is consistent with the recommendations of Strategy Corps, although with respect to wording, there were some revisions to maintain consistency within the document as well as compliance with legal principles. Secondly, at this stage, the chief administrative officers for the local municipal partners have indicated non-objection from their perspective to the report. The key elements to bring to your attention are outlined on pages 3 and 4. Just a couple I want to bring to your attention. It's a 5-year term. That's item number 2, January 1st, 2023, expiring December 31st, 2027. Elgin has reserved the discretion to assign performance of additional services, those being not specifically provided in the scope of services within the agreement, to contractors other than the local municipal partner. As reflected in the wording of the agreement, such additional services may be, but are not required to be offered to the local municipal partner for completion. The item 5, the repair and maintenance services are to be performed to an applicable standard within the current minimum maintenance standards established by the province. And if the relevant service has no standard within the minimum maintenance standards document, the applicable standard for performance is as specified in the scope of services. The annual road maintenance allocation for calendar year 2023 is specified for each municipal partner, or will be specified for each municipal partner in the agreement in section 5.1. with monthly payments calculated and listed in Schedule E to each agreement. One item that had been of concern previously were inspections and reporting. Item 9 indicates that the requirement for quarterly joint inspections and inspection reports have been continued as supplemental to monthly inspections by the local municipal partners, but the requirement for monthly reporting of inspections to Elgin has been removed. And finally, item 12, the inclusion of expanded and more detailed description of all maintenance and repair services to be performed pursuant to the agreement in Schedule C. The wording in Schedule C involved the most detailed review and most significant revision to address operational concerns raised by the local municipal partners. So I'm pleased to report that we do have some consensus, sufficient consensus to move forward with the preparation of customized agreements, presentation of those agreements to the local municipal partners for their consideration and if acceptable, execution. Certainly, it's been somewhat of a lengthy process, but the result shows the cooperative efforts of staff and representatives from both the local municipal partners and Elgin County. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that report, Steve. Does anyone have any questions and or concerns? Yes, Councillor Shiger.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. You have me curious on sufficient consensus.
Well,
Is there anything still outstanding?
no, there's nothing outstanding amongst staff. Matters just need to be sent to local municipal partners under the presentation version of the agreement for approval by each local municipal council.
Steve, I would assume that if there is sufficient grounds for not reaching a consensus with a particular municipal partner, something would return to this council for discussion.
At this stage, it could, what I'm asking, what the report seeks is approval of the format. The road maintenance operations have been continued in any event. I'm not anticipating any issues with the format since it does have the acceptance or non-objection from staff, as I understand it, at each local municipal level.
And thank you for that. It's curious wording, but I appreciate it.
In this business, you're never sure.
Okay, is there anything further? But thank you again for the report.
Be it resolved that the report titled County Roads Maintenance Agreement 2023 dated July 27th, 2023 from the General Council be received and filed. And that County Council approve the County Roads Maintenance Agreement attached as Schedule A to the report titled County Roads Maintenance Agreement 2023 as the format for a new County Roads Maintenance Agreement with Elgin's local municipal partners. And that County Council directs staff to prepare and present draft county roads maintenance agreements based upon the said approved format to each of Elgin's local municipal partners. And that County Council authorize the warden and chief administrative officer to execute all county road maintenance agreements prepared and presented in accordance with recommendation 3 above on behalf of the Corporation of the County of Elgin.
Do we have a mover and seconder, please? Deputy Warden Jones, Councillor Widner. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. 6-7, Acting Director of Engineering Services, the road maintenance allocations. Good morning, Peter.
Through you to the rest of Elgin County Council. The report before you discusses some changes to the road maintenance agreement payment allocations. Changes in the province definitions of the road classification table necessitated a change in the unit rate provided to municipalities. Additionally, there is a section of Ron McNeil Line that has been transferred out of the County of Elgin's jurisdiction now into the City of St. Thomas's jurisdiction. So this report discusses these changes and also the proposed rates. So the province's definition of road classifications utilizes the actual volume on the roadways, and it also looks at the posted speed limit. There are approximately 300 unique sections of different road classifications across the county's 674-kilometer road network. The RMA allocation model assumes that each road is an 80-kilometer-an-hour section of road, and that's for the RMA allocation purposes only. The Ontario Regulation 366-18 revised the highway classification table, and it essentially eliminated all Class 1 roads out of the county's system. The table at the bottom of page 119 shows what the existing allocations per kilometer provided to municipalities are and the proposed rates. You'll note that Class 1s have been eliminated and the rates therefore class 2 through 4 have been increased to ensure that the total allocation provided to municipality stays as similar as possible. The table on page 120 incorporates all of these changes. Each respective municipality is listed on that table. The second column indicates the total number of kilometers maintained for the County of Elgin, and then splits that total into the 3 classes of roads that we have available, Class 4, Class 3, and Class 2, along with the proposed new rates. The current allocation is the rate that has been provided to municipalities thus far in 2023. And then the second last column indicates what the new rates are. These resulting allocations are maintained to at least the same amount for all municipalities with the exception of the Township of Southold. And that is because Wellington Road, which was formerly a Class 1 road, is now a Class 2 road. And when that information is put through the model, there's a reduction in payment to the Township of Southold in the tune of about $10,800. Staff is recommending that rather than seeking a clawback of funds already delivered to the municipality, that the existing fund allocations be provided for the balance of 2023. As we move into next year's allocation rates, they are always increased annually by the Ontario CPI, and we expect with inflation where it is that rates will be restored next year. The resulting financial implications will increase the county's operating budget for in the magnitude of approximately $13,500. I'd be pleased to answer any questions in regards to this.
Thank you for that report, Peter. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, well, thank you very much for that report. And I agree with the philosophy. If it's a case of where there may be some reductions, it's red circled and just when we catch up to it, we go forward.
Be it resolved that the report titled Road Maintenance Allocations dated July 25th, 2023 from the Acting Director of Engineering Services be received and filed, and that new road maintenance allocation rates and resulting annual allocation funding as recommended in the report be utilized for the road maintenance agreement effective January 1st, 2023.
We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Latham will move. Councillor Hentz will second. All in favor? That's carried. Again, thank you, Peter. Moving on to 6.8, Director of Community and Cultural Services, the installation of photographs and plaques in county council chambers and entrance to Elgin County Administrative Building. Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Warden, and through you to council. This report is seeking council's input and endorsement on the installation of plaques and photographs in council chambers, in the entrance to the building and adjacent hallways. I've outlined proposed locations with relevant photographs in the report. On the matter of the King's portrait for installation in council chambers, I have received the following update on July 19th from the Minister of Canadian Heritage's office through MP Karen Vecchio, which reads as follows. The Palace recently indicated that the photo shoot originally planned for last month could not take place and that it will probably be September before a new shoot is held, although still to be confirmed. From that point on, it will be approximately 8 to 12 weeks before copies of the portrait are distributed to federal, provincial, and territorial partners, as well as other stakeholders. The program is already well into the planning stages, but the extra weeks will be required for mass printing and coordination of public distribution of the portrait, among other things. So I guess it's forthcoming. We can expect it hopefully by the end of the year, and that information as well can be passed on to your councils. One other matter is that our corporate facility staff will be installing signage in the building. And so that will also happen in tandem with the installations as proposed in this report. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that report. Does anyone have any questions? Brian, in the interim, while we're waiting for the King's portrait, would it be prudent just to rehang the Queen's portrait in its place?
Certainly, if that's council's direction, we can do that. There is I believe it's September the 8th, she passed away. So I think there's a period of mourning where it goes back up with a black sash up until that point. So, but that would
Right.
certainly be.
Okay. It would be totally dependent upon what council's wishes are. I just wondered if there's sentiment that you want to have at least the presence of the monarch in chambers. It's whatever you think. No, I realize we haven't had any portraits up for quite some time. It looks a little stark in here. But it's whatever council's wishes are. I realize that a lot of chambers still have the Queen's portrait displayed. And if you wish to continue with that tradition until we do get King Charles's portrait, then something to consider. Yes,
I would
Councillor
like to
Latham.
make that motion that we carry on with the Queen Elizabeth's photograph until such times as King Charles comes out.
Okay, yeah. All right, is anyone willing to second Councillor Latham's motion? Okay. Got Councillor Jones in there as well. Perhaps we incorporate that into the overall motion. Is there any other questions that anyone has for Brian? Okay, Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that County Council approve the installation of photographs and plaques in Elgin County Council chambers and in the entrance to the Elgin County Administration Building, subject to the plan laid out in the report titled Installation of Photographs and Plaques in County Council Chambers and Entrance to the Elgin County Administration Building, dated July 28th, 2023, from the Director of Community and Cultural Services, and that staff be directed to hang the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II until the portrait of King Charles III is received.
That's acceptable to you, Councillor Latham? And Councillor Jones, I think you said, Deputy Warden Jones, my apologies. If that's the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Next up, 6-9, Director of Financial Services, Treasurer, the first quarter operating financial report. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Mr. Warden, through you to members of council. The first quarter financial summary report before you provides a snapshot of departmental performance from January to March of 2023. At the end of Q1, 304,000 had been identified as positive performance that is expected to remain constant through to the end of the year. Staff have focused on providing some explanations for departmental performance that had variances within 25,000 of their expected base budget. 32,000 of the surplus was generated by economic development, tourism, which also includes planning and land division, related to the unfilled planner position. 63,000 surplus was generated by corporate activities and stems from interest rates being higher than budgeted. The homes services departments are the most significant contributor to this positive performance at $191,000. We have provided a further breakdown of their departmental performance in the report to council for your information. The general and admin departments in each of the homes showed positive performance due to the reconciliation of the 2022-2023 COVID funding from the ministry, which is not subject to clawback. These surplus funds have served to help offset some negative wage performance experienced in the departments during this first quarter. The recommendation before you is to receive and file the Q1 summary, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you for that report, Jen. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or observations on the first quarter report? General question I always pose to our local treasurer back in BAM is, do you have any concerns at this point?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, please, Jenna.
Be it resolved that the report titled First Quarter Operating Financial Report dated August 1st, 2023 from the Director of Financial Services Treasurer be received and filed for council's information.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Counselor Noble will move. Counselor Hentz will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Which brings us down to section 7, council correspondence. 7.2, items for information, the consent agenda. What have we got? The letter from the VON. Does anyone wish to speak to this? Does anyone have any questions or concerns with the report from the VON? Makes it easy.
Be it resolved that correspondence item 7.2.1 be received and filed for information.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Counselor Noble will move. Counselor Widner will second. All in favor? That's carried. Moving on to section 8. Other business. Are there any statements or inquiries by members? Any notice of motion? Or matters of urgency? Moving on then with closed meeting items.
Be it resolved that we do now proceed into closed meeting session in accordance with the municipal act to discuss the following matters under municipal act section 239(2). Closed meeting item number 1, closed meeting minutes, July 25th, 2023. Closed meeting item number 2, road user agreement negotiations, section 239(2) F and K.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Counselor Jiguer will move. Counselor Latham will second. All in favor? That is carried. Welcome back. Motion to rise and report.
Be it resolved that we do now rise and report.
Do we have a mover and seconder, please? Counselor Noble and Deputy Warden Jones, all in favor? That is carried. Closed meeting item number 1.
Be it resolved that the closed meeting minutes from the July 25th, 2023 meeting be adopted as amended.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Hentz and Counselor Jiguer will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Closed meeting item number 2, road user agreement.
Be it resolved that the confidential verbal report from the Director of Legal Services be received for information and that staff proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble. Seconder, Deputy Warden Jones. All in favor? That is carried. Motion to adopt recommendations from the Committee of the Whole.
Be it resolved that we do now adopt recommendations of the Committee of the Whole.
Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Counselor Noble, Counselor Crockett. All in favor? That's carried. Section 12, bylaw number 2335.
Be it a first, second, and third read of bylaw number 23-35, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of the municipal council of the corporation of the county of Elgin at the August 8th, 2023 meeting.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble. Counselor Hentz will second. All in favor? That is carried. Which brings us to the adjournment motion.
Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 9:54 a.m. to meet again on September 12th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Widner. Counselor Latham will second. All in favor? And that is carried. And thank you for joining us this morning, those of you who've joined us virtually and those who are present. Very quick council meeting. Have a great rest of the day and rest of the week.